Michael thought he was being smart. He moved his entire savings into a high-yield savings account paying almost 5%, and suddenly he felt financially secure. A few extra dollars hit his account every month, and his brain told him, "Good job. You're finally winning with money." No, you're not. You're just making the bank richer, while they feed you tiny little scraps and call it financial security. That's the scam nobody talks about. The bank takes your money, uses it to make massive profits, then throws you a few dollars back, like you should feel grateful for it. And the worst part? Most middle-class people actually believe this is the safe way to build wealth. It's not. It's a comfort trap designed to keep you calm, obedient, and financially weak. If you're watching this right now, and you're ready to stop thinking like the average broke person, comment number 1 below, and watch this video until the end. Because in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you why high-yield savings accounts are quietly destroying your financial security and what smart money is doing instead. Welcome to the real financial game. Let's talk about the biggest lie your bank ever sold you: the illusion of financial security. Most people think saving money automatically makes them responsible. They see a big number sitting in their high-yield savings account, earning 4 or 5%, and suddenly they feel smart, safe, stable, in control. But you are not building wealth. You are slowly losing purchasing power, while your bank makes billions using your money. That 4.8% looks cute, until you walk into a grocery store. Eggs cost more. Rent keeps climbing. Gas prices explode. Insurance gets higher. Life gets more expensive every single year. And after inflation, after taxes, after the dollar loses value, your safe money is quietly bleeding to death. But your brain does not notice it, because the bank trained you to feel emotionally comfortable watching numbers go up on a screen. That's not financial security. That's financial anesthesia. A numb, middle-class mindset designed to keep your money parked, while the real players move your capital like a waypawn. And the scary part, most people will stay trapped in this cycle for their entire lives, without ever realizing the game was rigged from the beginning. So what are banks really doing with your money while you sleep? While you are checking your banking app, celebrating that tiny $40 interest payment, your bank is using your money to build an empire. They do not lock your cash in some giant vault. That's what poor people think banks do. No. Your money immediately goes to work, just not for you. They lend it out through credit cards, charging 25% interest. They pour it into commercial real estate, corporate debt, private investments, massive financial deals normal people never even hear about. And the craziest part, they are taking the biggest profits, while you take the biggest risk. Because while they make billions leveraging your money, you are still the one getting crushed by inflation. Think about how insane that is. They give you 4 or 5%, then turn around and make 10, 15, sometimes even 20% using the exact same dollars. That difference funds their skyscrapers, their private jets, their CEO bonuses. Meanwhile, you sit there feeling financially responsible for earning a few extra bucks a month. That is not wealth. That is controlled financial obedience. They train the middle class to fear investing because fearful people leave their money in the system. And the system was never designed to make you rich. It was designed to use your money to make them rich. This is exactly why so many middle-class people stay trapped for their entire lives. They are addicted to feeling safe, while wealthy people are addicted to owning assets. Take Marcus, for example. He works 40 hours a week, saves every extra dollar, avoids investing because he is terrified of losing money. So he dumps everything into a high-yield savings account and tells himself he is being responsible. But Marcus is paying a brutal hidden price for that comfort. He is sacrificing his future freedom. Because while Marcus celebrates 4% interest, the people who own stocks, real estate, businesses, and cash-flowing assets are getting richer while they sleep. That is the difference. The middle class chases certainty. The wealthy chase ownership. One group works for money forever. The other buys assets that work for them. And by keeping your money parked in a bank. You slowly lose your seat at the table of real wealth creation. Not overnight. That's what makes it dangerous. It happens silently, year after year, until one day you wake up older, still working, still stressed, while everything around you got more expensive. The safest financial path often becomes the slowest financial death. Let's do the brutal math your bank conveniently avoids talking about. You look at that 4.8% interest rate, and your brain tells you that your money is growing. But then reality shows up. First, the IRS takes its cut, because in America, those tiny interest payments are considered taxable income. So before you even touch the money, your return already shrinks. That shiny 4.8%, now it is closer to 3.5%. And then comes the real killer, inflation, the silent financial predator destroying middle-class wealth year after year. If food prices rise 5%, rent jumps 6%, insurance keeps climbing, and your account only grows 3.5% after taxes, you are not moving forward. You are quietly falling behind. Your savings buy less groceries, less gas, less freedom, less future. And the most dangerous part, the bank still makes you feel smart while this is happening. That is the trap. They keep your eyes focused on the interest earned, so you never notice your purchasing power bleeding out in the background. You work harder, save more, stress more, yet somehow life keeps getting more expensive anyway. That is not financial security. That is slow financial decay, disguised as safety. The most dangerous financial sentence ever invented is this: at least my money is safe. That single belief has destroyed more long-term wealth than most market crashes ever could. Because the biggest risk is not always losing money. Sometimes the biggest risk is never allowing your money to grow. Take Sarah, for example. She has $50,000 sitting in a high-yield savings account. Every month, she earns a little interest, checks her banking app, and feels emotionally secure. But security can be expensive. Over the next 10 years, that money might slowly crawl to $60,000 or $70,000 if everything goes well. Meanwhile, someone else puts that same money into assets that actually grow: index funds, dividend investments, cash-flowing businesses, and over time, their wealth doubles, triples, maybe even quadruples. That gap is not luck. That gap is the price of fear. And if this video is starting to wake you up, comment number 2 below right now and keep watching until the end. Because most people are not trapped by poverty. They are trapped by comfort. Real wealth is built by ownership, not by watching a savings account move 1 inch at a time while your life keeps moving without you. Here is the truth. Most banks hope you never fully understand. They do not want financially free customers. They want financially obedient customers. People who wake up, work 40 hours a week, deposit their paycheck, feel responsible, and repeat the cycle for the next 40 years without questioning the system. That is the game. And while you celebrate your tiny monthly interest payment, the financial elite are using your money to multiply their wealth at scale. They buy the apartment buildings you rent, the companies you shop from, the technology you depend on, the energy bills you complain about every month. You save. They scale. That is the difference between savers and owners. Because wealthy people understand something the middle class was never taught: real wealth is built through ownership, not storage. They do not obsess over protecting every dollar. They obsess over controlling assets that grow faster than inflation. Meanwhile, the average person keeps chasing safety, while quietly becoming poorer every single year. And the scary part, the system actually rewards that behavior. It tells you to play small, stay careful, avoid risk, trust the bank, because comfortable people rarely challenge the system that controls them. But comfort is expensive. Comfort keeps people trapped working jobs they hate, living paycheck to paycheck, while inflation slowly eats their future alive. Owners build wealth. Savers protect leftovers. And if you truly want financial security, you have to stop thinking like a depositor and start thinking like someone who owns the game. Now let me make something very clear. I am not telling you to throw your life savings into meme coins, day trading, or your cousin's next billion-dollar startup. That is not investing. That is financial stupidity, disguised as ambition. Real financial security is not about gambling. It is about putting your money in places where it can actually work, instead of slowly dying inside a bank account. There are smarter options: treasury bills, money market funds, low-cost index funds, assets built on real systems, real businesses, real cash flow. And in many cases, they even outperform high-yield savings accounts while exposing you to actual long-term growth. Think about what that means. When you own an index fund, you are no longer sitting on the sidelines hoping your savings survive inflation. You own a piece of the largest companies in the world. While savers watch numbers move slowly on a screen, owners participate in the growth of the entire economy. That is a completely different game. Because over the long term, history has shown one thing again and again. Ownership beats storage. Every single time. One path keeps your money comfortable, but weak. The other builds freedom, cash flow, and real financial security. You just have to decide which future you want. The middle class has been trained to worship savings, while the wealthy obsess over ownership. That is why one group spends their entire lives working for money, while the other builds systems where money works for them. A high-yield savings account feels safe because the numbers move slowly upward. But slow movement is not the same thing as real progress. Your money sits there. Inflation keeps rising. Housing gets more expensive. Food prices climb. Healthcare explodes. And the bank keeps using your capital to expand faster than you ever will. That is the part most people never stop to think about. The average person treats money like something to hide. The wealthy treat money like an employee. Every dollar should have a purpose, a mission, a job to do. That is why wealthy people focus on assets, businesses, index funds, real estate, cash flow systems, technology, things that continue producing value long after the original investment was made. Because true financial security is not about storing money. It is about creating momentum. The moment your assets begin generating more income than your labor, your life changes forever. You stop panicking every time bills go up. You stop living paycheck to paycheck. You stop depending on one employer or one savings account to survive. And most importantly, you stop building wealth for the bank and finally start building it for yourself. So, if keeping all your money in a high-yield savings account is the trap, what is the smarter path? It is actually simpler than most people think. Real financial security is not built on one account. It is built like a fortress, with multiple layers protecting and growing your wealth at the same time. Your savings account should not be your financial destination. It should be your financial pit stop, a temporary place for emergency cash, not the final home for your future. Because once your basic safety net is covered, your money should start moving toward assets that actually build wealth. Low-cost index funds, dividend-paying assets, treasury investments, cash flow businesses, digital income streams, skills that increase your earning power, different engines, different income sources, different layers of protection. That is how real wealth is built. Not by hiding money, but by creating systems that continue producing value month after month. And no, this is not about gambling your life savings chasing internet hype. It is the opposite. It is about reducing dependence on one fragile system. Because the moment all your money depends on a single bank account, you are financially vulnerable, whether you realize it or not. The wealthy understand this. They do not rely on one stream, one paycheck, one account. They build financial ecosystems, machines that keep generating growth even while they sleep. And the beautiful part, you do not need to be a Wall Street genius to start building one. You just need to stop handing your future to the banking system and hoping it saves you. The biggest financial lie ever sold to the middle class is this: a growing bank balance equals freedom. It does not. A growing bank balance can still hide a shrinking future. Because real financial freedom is not about watching numbers sit safely on a screen. It is about building systems that continue creating income, growth, and opportunity, even when you are not working. That is the difference between a saver and a strategist. Savers protect money. Strategists position money to multiply. One mindset slowly gets crushed by inflation. The other uses inflation to grow stronger through ownership. And that is why the banking system loves passive savers. They stay quiet. They stay predictable. They keep depositing their life energy into accounts that barely move them forward. Meanwhile, the people who understand the game are out buying assets, building cash flow, and creating freedom that compounds for decades. So the real question is not how much money do you have saved? The real question is how long can your money survive without you working for it? Because once you finally understand that difference, you stop chasing the illusion of safety and start building real financial freedom. And that is where everything begins to change. The system was never designed to make you financially free. It was designed to make you financially predictable. Work, save, deposit, repeat. That is the cycle. And the longer you believe a savings account is the finish line, the longer you stay trapped running a race you were never meant to win. Because the people who truly build wealth are not the people with the biggest bank balances. They are the people who own things, businesses, assets, cash flow, technology, real estate, systems that continue producing value long after they stop working. That is real financial security. Not a number sitting on a screen, but the ability to survive, grow, and stay free regardless of what the economy does next. Banks understand this perfectly. That is why they want passive savers, not financially educated owners. Because passive people are easier to control. But once you understand how the game actually works, you can never unsee it again. And if this video woke something up inside you, subscribe right now and join the people who are done playing small with money. Because the moment you stop worshiping safety and start building ownership, your entire financial future changes. So tomorrow morning, will you continue feeding the system? Or will you finally start building your own? Thanks for watching. Stay disciplined, protect your future, and I'll see you in the next breakdown.